Hello, space travelers. This is Jason Songer Sr., and before we begin today's review, I thought I would inform everyone that after the conclusion of this review, if you like what you see and want to see these filming locations up close, please turn your attention to the YouTube channel The Grimm Life Collective, who has done an extensive look at the locations of this feature that are accessible to the public and free for your up-close encounter. A link below to their video will be provided in our video description. Until then, as Ric Flair once said,
"You can ride Space Mountain all night long!" Woo!
39 to beam up, folks.
Cannon Films, the home of high-powered, high-voltage motion picture entertainment. With the screen's biggest spectacles, brightest stars, and boldest lineup of explosive entertainment. We're taking motion picture excitement over the edge and your box office over the top. We're Cannon Films, and we're dynamite.
Picking up where we left off in the second of Tobe Hooper's Cannon-directed films, I'm sure you have more questions and eyebrows raising as to what exactly was Tobe Hooper's association with Cannon Films. Mannheim Golan of Cannon Films was a big fan of 1950s UFO and atomic age style movies. Let's just say Cannon Films didn't have a very warm welcome into the horror genre with such box office fatalities such as Hospital Massacre, New Year's Evil, and Dr. Heckle and Mr. Hype, for example. So with horror out of the question for their unforeseeable future, they turned to Texas Chainsaw Massacre director Tobe Hooper to put Cannon right on easy train to sci-fi access with a remake of Invaders from Mars. Let's face it, other than the commercial success of Poltergeist, Tobe Hooper wasn't exactly pulling up daisies with failed films which didn't even move the needle nor had the famed success of Texas Chainsaw Massacre. He wanted to become a big-budget mainstream director and thus signed his soul away to Golan and Globus. His first film, Life Force, in 1985, which we will cover in greater detail in a future episode, ended up being hated and laughed off the screens. It was a horrendous financial flop that many considered it to be sowing the seeds that would begin the beginning of the end of the downward spiral of Cannon. As for Texas Chainsaw Massacre Part 2, Hooper's vision was unfortunately altered and created what would be a disliked sequel to a horror classic. Despite Hooper's fall, he managed to make a brief comeback, putting out a string of some good but not great string of B-budget films, which were done around the same time that Cannon went into bankruptcy in 1990. Hooper stays true to the original 1953 source material. He doesn't try to update or rewrite as to confuse the viewer. Now that he's got Cannon, and what dirty hedge fund manager they slept with, more money to operate on a much vaster budget that puts a modern 80s day perspective with a slice of humor. Hooper employs a more playful atmosphere with updated sets and special effects. It has plenty of visual eye candy with more enhanced creature effects and an updated set design of the alien spaceship and lair. The Gardener's house is still the same style of house it was in 1953 version, but now they reside in Santa Mira, a tribute to the same fictional town Invasion of the Body Snatchers was filmed. David goes to the Menzies public school, and even the police chief is played by none other than the original David in the 1953 original played by Jimmy Hunt. Instead of children being terrified to death of adults and the rise of communism, he employs a Cold War storyline where you don't know who you can trust, even if it is your own parents. Invaders from Mars doesn't play up to the seriousness of what's happening around David. You can only go taking the story so far as to seeing aliens invade Earth, capturing and enslaving those around him so no one will hear his pleas for help. our paranormal squirt seeker is training is none other than David Gardner instead of being named David McLean. Well, my, this here UFO guy. Sorry, I get that name confused with the American Pie's Don McLean.
It's pretty close.
Right now, this story is playing about as simple as unoriginal as McDonald's apple pie. Only instead of apple pie, Hooper is spoon-feeding us plot pieces one slice at a time.
Hey, look, here they come.
Yeah.
Will this didn't last?
Yeah, this should be the heaviest shower this year.
Holy shit!
Jesus, that's bright.
Expect me to become an astronaut if you won't let me stay up late.
I'm already full of boredom. Yes, David swears he's just spotted a UFO. No, not the Ed Wood version on a shoestring budget. I'm talking about an expensive model type with all the computer effects trimmings to give that alluring effect. He warns his parents as his dad runs over the hill to investigate.
Come on, you gotta come see! A huge UFO landed right behind the hill! With all these weird lights! Come on! Quick! Look at that lightning! And it landed right back there behind the hill!
You go back to bed.
I'll look when it's light, okay?
Don't bother, Dad. David, you go take the high road while your dad takes the psychopath.
Yeah.
David's father, George Gardner, then enters the next day all disheveled, acting strange and talks as if he has taken the black sheep of the Kali Ma in the Temple of Doom.
I lost it.
Here he doesn't come off as stark, raving, drunk dad in I'll kick your ass mode, but one whose usual dad mannerisms are quite unorthodox, like in this scene where he pours Tic Tacs in his coffee. Well, if the Martians can't enslave us, they can certainly give us a quick hit of diabetes. David then goes to school the next day and is encountered by none other than Mrs. McCletch, aka Nurse Ratched. She's stone cold from the start, even before the Martians arrive, who, by the way, has it in for inflicting S&M pain on minors.
I told you this boy was trouble, and he needs to be severely punished. Give him to me.
Please let me talk to him.
Yeah, from her to Coach Schneider in Nightmare on Elm Street Part 2. These creeps come from all kinds.
You're pushing it, sister. I'll be back for him in 5 minutes. Well, I want the boy. You don't give him to me. You have a lot of nerves.
Plus, she never lets him get another word in and literally plays the public spokesperson of the Martians.
He's still with the nurse.
His parents will take him.
More like Leatherface's aunt who lives by the Iron Rule. David later cuts his hand with a scalpel and is sent to Nurse Linda, who really serves as a motherly role to David.
What? I'm sorry.
I said, this silly boy has cut himself. I don't know what's got into him. He's uncontrollable.
I'll take it from here, Mrs. McCletch.
McKelch.
David's mom, Ellen, notices her husband George is later than usual and calls the police, who later go search for George beyond the hill.
George isn't here. His car's here, but he's not here.
You have any idea where he might be?
Maybe he went back over the hill.
Oh, David. He went up there this morning to take a look. David thought he saw a plane crash there last night.
No, I didn't. I saw a UFO.
Tell you what, Mrs. Gardner, we'll go up and have a look.
Here, Toby Hooper does a clever nod and tribute to the first Invaders from Mars, because the police chief in this scene is Jimmy Hunt from the first film, and replies to Ellen, "I haven't been up here since I was a boy."
Gee, I haven't been up here since I was a kid.
It's quite clever, and it works connecting the original with the remake. George pops out of the bushes and appears with another woman who is revealed to be the father of one of David's schoolmates.
Ed, this is my wife. This is my son.
They both appear to be infected.
Couldn't do much better. And yourself?
Gee, I had no idea aliens swing both sides of the fences.
I think he is weird, Dad.
Ed works for the phone company, the switching division.
It must be a coming out party.
We had a special meeting.
What do we call these now? Space hickeys?
What happened to your neck?
Wow. The way this kid reacts when he sees his parents go over the hill. He's just so incapable of expressing surprise in any credible way, as if he was rushed to utter this response that for sure will have you rolling around your eyes in terror. When he gets home, the suspense and paranoia kick in full blast as he returns home only to find now his mom and dad are acting out in a way that is not congruent to their usually normal, happy family kind of life.
You feel all right? I don't think he's feeling well, George. I have an idea. Why don't we all go on a picnic up at the hill?
Mom, you got classes.
We'll go this afternoon.
Must be celebrating Happy Salmonella Day.
Is this a joke?
I'll pack us a lunch. Hamburgers. You like that, don't you?
Why they want to slow down the pacing with reenacting a scene from Randy Quaid's film Parents, I'll never know. Therefore, we should never believe a clock because any thoughts of seeing an actual alien invasion are secondhand information at this point.
Later.
David is played by Hunter Carson, who at one point was going to be casted as Bud Bundy on Married with Children. Seriously, with his acting chops, he could have flushed Married with Children down Al Bundy's Ferguson. The next day, David goes to school and sees Lois Fletcher conversing with the infected cops. Talk about contaminated bacon. Yeah, I definitely smell a contaminated pork product stirring about. The topic of their discussion is conducting a field trip of taking the kids over the hill. David then goes to Lois Fletcher to try to make some sense of what's going on and trying to get another adult to reason with him.
Okay, first can I see the back of your neck?
A UFO lands in the back of your house and puts something in your mom and dad's neck, and then it gets your teacher and the police and your friend Heather and her father, Ed, from the telephone company?
Honestly, this teacher, as creepy as she is a standout in this movie that anchors it from start to finish. She is so relentless, brutal, never lets up, and has such an undying devotion to put the final screws on little boy Blondie.
David Gardner! Stop! Stop! Stop right where you are!
Miss Magnuson!
He's taken into the school nurses because David's teacher thinks he instigated the frog fight, but there's no evidence to suggest that. This is good. This is providing a good indication in the story that this young one is anything but controlled and will not conform. It again reinforces the narrative that adults are all out to get you and they are the ones wielding the power. David then goes and tells his first-hand version of the story and gains an ally in the school nurse played by David's real mother. Since they are really mother and father, it only adds the right intended drama. She starts to believe him but wants to ask Lois Fletcher her side of the story, only for her to dismiss her as weird for sticking up for his boyfriend. Yet there's nothing in the film that suggests that these two are having a romantic relationship. That's correct, Mrs. Fletcher. Please don't touch a child. A child is not a petting zoo. Linda offers David the keys to hide out at her house. I guess you grew out of kid stories but haven't grown out of child luring. David leaves school only to find out where all the children have gone, with the exception of Lois Fletcher and an infected girl who are setting up a search party.
He's still with the nurse.
His parents will take him.
He finds solace in a van only to find out it's Lois Fletcher's van. I am Iron Van. Personally, a van key DeVito is more of my groove thing. The van consists of taxidermy animals and caged animals. Taxidermy is just stuffing beavers. Lois Fletcher doesn't seem to know she is harboring a 12-year-old boy in the van as she heads out to the countryside. If this doesn't look fun, folks, well then you ain't country. She exits the car and then makes her way inside a large tunnel system as David follows along. Must all spaceship entrances begin with someone finding the hole? Gee, audiences get one taste of H.R. Geiger's alien spaceship opening, and they are still begging for pussy. The tunnels lead to the underground spaceship, and just like Motel 6's slogan, these Martians are willing to leave the door and the light on, just like in the original movie. Lois makes her way to the main platform, the command station, where it is guarded by two oversized aliens whose heads look like two talking assholes. More like two buttheads talking out of their asses. Let's face it, this underground Martian lair looks colorful, but looks more colorful than a disco nightclub. Seriously, with its plastic low-tech sections of cheaply fused together, you should have thought you were a tourist stepping through a Universal Studios attraction. Here we notice a giant tentacle-like brain that is connected to the middle of the ship. Funny, he closely resembles the live action of Krang from Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. And what do we call this invasion? A quick pit stop before descending into Dimension X in a Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles crossover. I guess we all forget the brain has a way of clearing space for new stuff as he sends a couple of keisters to cover his rear as they try to sniff out David. Yet David walks out of the door and escapes. Much like the White House Capitol riot, a locksmith would go broke if no spaceship was ever locked nor shut. David makes his way back to Linda and unloads on her everything, detailing the aliens' best laid invasion plans.
I found him!
Sure, keep it down, they'll see us.
I was down there, I found him in the couch.
Calm down, David, we're in secret.
Oh, she's good with keeping secrets, alright. Kidnapping little boys each week for her after-hour urgent care is her illicit MO.
My God, they probably think I've kidnapped you.
In order to make Linda see for herself, David takes her to the alien spaceship only to find out the tunnel is sealed off.
They moved it! They can move tunnels!
Well, if that was indeed the famed light at the end of the tunnel, you may want to change your sign.
David, it's just too crazy for me.
Then they head to the sands on the hill. There is no one there, but then spot two NASA individuals who end up getting pulled underneath, and then she believes him. Come on, you two. You should let your past be your springboard, not your quicksand. Time to move along, but not before she almost hits a school bus full of children. The very same children and school bus that Lois Fletcher was planning on giving kids that famed field trip to the hills. Gee, the irony is starting to sink in. Nice try, Cannon.
What are we gonna do now?
Would have been more 80s zombie badass had the infected kid showed up later, getting digitally disciplined by the Army's tasers. You know, Mrs. Fletcher, for being the alien's de facto commander, you certainly forgot to do your homework, especially in taking kids on a field trip during after school hours. Weird school, weird sense of premeditated planning. Yet she has got plenty of time to stop her transport of souls by doing some soul searching of her own, hounding David and yelling at the top of her guts, "I'll get you, David Gardner, and your sugar mama too."
Come back! I'll get you for this, David Gardner!
As if she is Skeletor playing the role of Wicked Witch of the West. Our favorite adoptive family pair of putsies hide in the basement out on a bed hugging each other. What a pedo freak she is.
What God's name am I doing here?
The police chief notices the two missing and goes to find them, only to find one of the Martians rearing his ugly head. Now the deputy wants to draw fire, but the sound of a Martian drilling scene provides the right distraction for David and Linda to escape. Wow, David escaped out of there as if someone told him all the cookies will be mine. Sweet Martha's cookie jar declined to comment. Later, they stepped right through the front door of the Army base to talk to General Mad Dog Wilson.
I don't know. People being sucked under the sand. A lot of aliens running around loose underneath the town. That's a little hard to swallow.
I don't think you understand the concept of protecting your borders. Another thing our government has yet to get to the root cause of. They explore the base only to find more NASA trucks. Funny, I never knew NASA was contracted out to the military. Starship Troopers hasn't even been funded yet, nor a lack of an Army consultant on hand where you are having all these ranks and calls his fellow soldier Little Skipper. Oh, I'm sure there was a military consultant on set that Cannon labeled as a special business consultant.
It's wired. The detonator is set.
And when anyone asks them of their role on set, they can just reply, "Oh, I help my clients lie more convincingly."
You'd better hurry, or you just might blow it.
Even General Mad Dog Wilson is mad as hell, questioning why the NASA guys are there.
Sorry to disturb you, boys. Just have a couple of questions, routine, of course, about the Copper Hill search. All right, now you men are going to tell me just what the hell this is all about.
They figured him and David talked and attempt to kill him. General Wilson seems to have a different interpretation of the meaning blast off.
My God.
They're dead.
What?
Jesus!
As these NASA dudes are captured by him and Captain Curtis.
Seal the base perimeter. Alert security. Get those NASA hotshots back over here right away. Maybe they can tell us what the hell this is all about.
A little safety incentive is implanted in their neck that touches anything that squeals. A self-inflicted fatal wound, huh? I wonder if they belong to Heaven's Gate.
Stay clear, don't touch those things!
A crazier-looking NASA scientist enters and boasts about the wonders of Mars, having many underground civilizations buried safely beneath the public. What's next, NASA? Going to take down the moon for repairs?
Doctor, I didn't think the Viking missions found any sign of life. Except for this one photo I saw in a magazine of these things on the surface that looked like pyramids. Yeah, and what about that huge thing that kind of looked like a monkey's head? That was fake, right?
On the contrary, there were other photos, too sensational to be made public.
But there is not enough water to support life.
On the surface. That's why we're looking below ground this time.
The Martians later hijacked a truck containing liquid oxygen and then crashed it into an experimental rocket ship whose plans were to launch it to Mars the very next day. Those damn Martians. You know, sooner or later, if there isn't a turncoat, the Martians will make one.
General, base security just arrested 2 technicians trying to steal equipment.
Steal what?
Copper wire, sir. A lot of it was loaded onto a base truck.
Copper wire?
The military then descends to the sand pit, but personally I would have found more joy watching the military gun down the children of the dead. Again, they make their way through the unprotected vagina, opening that has no opening. Eventually, they run into 2 more round-shaped heinies. and pretty much park their asses. Confusion in canon films? Yeah, you don't know when it will happen, but when it does, not even Google, Alexa, or Siri will have the answer.
All right. Let's recon these tunnels.
Back at the sandhill, now renamed Suck It Up, Sergeant Rinaldi falls below, along with our favorite idiotic David, all in a desperate plea to find his parents. Wow, you give Cannon a straw, they sure suck the fun out of someone else's day.
Gotta go down there! Recon, get ready!
Linda then follows suit because she's made a profession out of sucking ass. Inside the ship, General Wilson and his men set the hill perimeter, and when they are sucked down, so are the explosives that are all set off. Congratulations, you now have a non-feminine entrance that you don't have to ask permission to burrow your way in. Personally, the foam latex monsters of 1953 edition hold up better along with its alien intelligence that was so primitively scary than the 1986 edition. They used clever techniques to help them seductively emerge out of the walls in an extremely seductive way like unfolding tongue. These 1986 Martian drones seem too stationary, ingenious, unintelligent, with a toothy grin that grunt like a bunch of oafish space orcs trying to disguise the fact that they look like Disney cast members in suits. As I stand corrected, from the beginning, they are a bunch of assholes and their shit is about to hit the fan when the Marines storm in on the Martians. Congratulations to our armed service members for getting to the bottom of this. David has the final showdown with Mrs. Fletcher, who introduces him to Supreme Martian Intelligence of the Technodrome Krang.
Not everybody gets to meet the Supreme Martial Intelligence.
Please, don't hurt Linda. And if you can just give me my
You've been quite a bit of trouble to us already, David Gardner.
They didn't do any harm to you, my mom, dad, Linda, all the others. They're good people. They would never hurt you.
It's too late.
Shut up, I'm talking to him. Please.
It's too late.
Stay after school every day for the rest of my life. You will just shut up a second. Don't you understand? You can't do this to people. You can't control them. It's wrong. You're not gonna get away with it.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
David somehow gives Krang a brain freeze. This must have signaled a turning of the guards to Mrs. Fletcher as she catches it in the rear end.
You dick brain!
For a minute there, I thought I was watching Tim Burton's Ed Wood in the scene where Bela Lugosi is being devoured by an octopus while wrapping tentacles around himself. Here we just like the idea of a woman making an ass out of herself. Hey, after all, she couldn't talk the talk. More bumbling fart heads pursue David. But he is immediately rescued by the Marines who kick some space booty. This whole sequence plays out like they're running out of shooting mutants as if they are playing laser tag against stuffed animals. The Martian brain gets shot a few times and lazily does the crawl of shame when the Marines plant his command center with explosives.
Move it! Come on!
For someone that intelligent and ominous looking, you certainly were running low on RAM. You must have had a brain tumor, which explains why you were allowed to do weird, uneventful, useless things. You're about as harmless as a sock puppet. They also rescue Linda because, after all, David is the last of the school children for her to purr on.
Stop! David, stop! Linda, are you okay? Ah!
We're a non-possessed therapist when you need one.
Stop! David, stop! Linda, are you okay? Ah! David! David! Where are we?
Keep moving, Linda!
Once again, the escape tunnel is sealed by Operation Preparation H.
Bastards! They've sealed off the entrance! Start digging!
Hey, those Martians coming down with the case of Marines was by far a little rash, don't you think? David then grabs a Martian gun and clears a path to freedom. Next time, David just checks off the tunnel entrance and Penny operated to power through. Haven't you learned anything from Egon from the Ghostbusters in his speech about don't cross the streams? Wouldn't want every molecule in your body exploding at the speed of light, especially while operating an unlicensed out of this planet nuclear accelerator weapon. David's parents appear and try to coax him to return to the spaceship.
Come with us.
Hurry, dear.
They'll leave without us.
Parents, possessed or not, always seem to live by the following rules. Number 1, if it's taken from me, it's mine. Number 2, if I had it a little while ago, it's mine. And number 3, if it's mine, it must never appear to be the Martian's property in any way. And number 4, if it looks just like my own, it is mine.
No, please.
Hey, little guy. You don't know what you're missing. Come on, little guy.
He refuses, and his parents pursue him in a chase all the way through the tunnel as it explodes.
David?
David.
No!
David! David!
In a sudden change of events, David's parents are back to normal.
David, what is it?
No, leave me alone!
David, it's all right.
I'm really going to try and act like a normal, happy, mentally balanced person as I'm viewing this.
And then they got you a dad.
They did?
Oh, just calm down, honey. Calm down.
Come on, Cannon. No long montage sequence of David running. No brief flashback before a quick shot in the arm back to reality.
Now, who chased you?
Dad, let me see the back of your neck.
Must have been a hell of a dream.
Ooh, going back to that old "it's all a dream," isn't it? Confusion, everyone? Now on sale at all participating Canon Film Reviews.
Please let me see.
Okay?
It's okay.
Okay, wait a minute. What about me?
The aliens look great, which were developed by Stan Winston Studios. They could have been fleshed out a little bit more to give them more mobility instead of walking around so stationary with little mobility. They are like Canon's version of George Lucas's Gamorrean guards from Return of the Jedi. The build up to the paranoid and not knowing whom David can trust is great in the beginning because it makes him more vulnerable and liable to danger, which was a great launching point of the movie. Problem I found was that it takes forever to get to the battle of the aliens. The original Invaders from Mars wraps up its invasion nicely in 78 minutes. Tobe Hooper's Invaders from Mars takes 100 minutes. A lot of that can be contributed to the second act of the film, which adds too much idle time for the characters before the Marines get involved. The tension between David and Lois Fletcher's character is overplayed. That's great that she is built up to be this all-seeing, all-knowing surrogate monster that controls everything, and that is scary. And she nails it. Problem is, Hooper goes to the wishing well one too many times in repeated patterns of a chase scene. Break, and then chase scene again. It just leaves the viewers bored, like you know what will happen, and you never feel like David is really in any danger other than feeling left alone to his devices to fight off this impending doom around him. When characters do die, it's very uneventful, and in Canon's response, I'm sure they would like to comment by saying, yeah, it happens. Life sucks. Let's give credit where credit is due. I think Tobe Hooper, in all honesty, had the right idea in the direction and film design and capturing the right tone for this movie. He just couldn't achieve the same accomplishments as the first one to direct a clear and to-the-point film in less viewing time. So, in the end, it leaves a lot of viewers, including myself, asking two questions, like, was this intended to be an overall spoof of the 1950s sci-fi films? Because everything we see is happening in real time. Like most remakes, we are wondering what the point was. This would explain yet another subpar average box office performance, only grossing $4 million out of the $7 million budget. Close, but no cigar, as Tobe Hooper's efforts were well appreciated. At least it's not New Year's Evil. This is Jason Songer Sr. reminding you all to join us next time, as we will be making a return to close out the Sho Kosugi Ninja Trilogy with the second of his third canon starring film role in Revenge of the Ninja. Stay healthy, my friends.
Canon Films presents an outstanding lineup of films, major filmmakers, major stars, major motion pictures.
God, you're so strong.
Do you wish to work out?
Of course I do.
Stop a ninja.